In my first month of being monetized, I made a whopping $2. $2. Now,
I am stepping out of the kitchen just for this week to talk to you all about something that I've gotten a lot of questions about. I've gotten emails, I've gotten DMs on Instagram, comments on here asking about my backstory, what inspired me to start this YouTube channel, how I got started, how I have grown it from 0 subscribers to being the size it is now in under 2 years. And so I figured I would sit down by the fire and tell you all about it. And next week we will be back in the kitchen.
this is a video I have been wanting to make for a while now because I get questions about this. I've had people email me or DM me on Instagram, leave comments just wanting to know the story behind this YouTube channel, how I got started, how I have been able to grow this channel from brand new to being pretty big within a relatively short amount of time, and just lots of questions about that. So I've been meaning to make this video, but I just don't ever get much time to sit down in a quiet space and record for an extended period of time. However, it is Christmas break. We are on break from homeschool right now. The toddler I should say, is sleeping. The baby, I don't know if you can see, he's right here with me. And the big kids walked over to grandma's. It's snowing out. It's just like the perfect Christmas break day. I've got the fire going. And so I got out my laptop, went over some numbers and dates, took some notes for you guys so that I could be really specific and share with you exactly when I started, kind of how everything progressed, and where it's all at now. So I guess I'll go back to the beginning. How I got started was actually on Instagram. We built this house in 2017, and I just kind of casually started documenting that process over on Instagram. I really didn't know what an influencer was, so I definitely didn't have a strategy to become that, but I shared a lot of the stuff that I share here with you all. I shared the build and kind of the farm and plans we had out here. Then when we moved in, I started sharing food and recipes just because that's what I was doing. I shared just a lot of what I share now. Homeschooling, homesteading, getting new animals, learning about all that stuff, cooking from scratch, sourdough. And over time, I slowly grew an organic following over on Instagram, and any time that I shared recipes or food, it always went over really well. So I decided to start a blog. Now, I did take a blogging course. I was really excited. At this time, I was still working as a nurse, which I think I've mentioned that before. I used to be a nurse. Now, I say used to be because I did let my license lapse maybe last year, 2022, I think, in 2022. So technically, I guess I'm still a nurse, just not licensed. But back in 2017, we built the house. So 2017, 2018, wanted to start the blog. I was still working as a nurse while homeschooling our kids and trying to learn all this homesteading stuff. And even though I took a blogging course, I knew there was potential there. I had a lot of creative energy and good ideas. I really just think I didn't have the mental space or understanding to really, grasp the big picture of how the blogging world works. And it ended up just being really stressful for me. So I put a few blog posts out here and there. I never really did anything with it, and it never went anywhere. So I've had this blog, the same blog I have now, that has been alive for, let's see, it's 5 or 6 years old now, but I just never really did anything with it. Now, I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't want to be working my nursing job, but that's kind of hard when you make decisions as a younger person and get yourself into debt. It's kind of hard to just be like, no, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. So, my husband wanted that too. Like, we wanted that, and we were working toward that. And when 2020 came around, which I don't need to say the word, you all know what happened in 2020. It was a crazy time to be a healthcare professional, I'll just say that. But in the craziness, I saw an opportunity. There were people leaving the field left and right, people refusing to work. And praise the Lord, I have had pretty good health my whole life. I felt pretty confident in my immune system and my ability to work. And I just saw an opportunity. And you know, opportunities are often disguised as really like undesirable work that other people don't want to do. And so nobody wanted to work in the hospitals, in the intensive care units with the sickest patients. And so I was like, okay, I'll do this. That was my background. My background in nursing is a lot of like ICU, cath lab, really intense kind of stuff. So I talked to my husband. I'm like, I can do this. You know, these hospitals were paying agency nurses a lot of money to come in and work these really undesirable shifts and conditions. I'm like, I can do this. I can just buckle down. I can do this. We can make this work and we can pay off debt, and then I can be a stay-at-home mom. So that's what we did and that lasted longer than 2020. You guys remember that, like went into 2021. So that whole time I was working my butt off, very little sleep. I think I was in survival mode because I'd have to come home and homeschool the kids. But, and then in that time, we found out that we were pregnant with our 4th baby. So it was a good time. It was a stressful time, a crazy time. But through all that, we were able to make it happen. So in January of 2022, I worked my last shift as a nurse. And like a week later, I had our baby. And I haven't been back since. So that's kind of my background as to what I was up to before all this YouTube stuff. Because then in 2022, you know, had our 4th baby, came home for good, and just enjoyed being home. But it wasn't long that I was, you know, home and not working my nursing job that I started to realize, like, wow, I'm sleeping like a normal person and I have a lot of extra energy now. I started to think more about doing something online. Now, sometime, you know, before that, the creator of the blogging course that I had taken had actually made a YouTube course and asked me to take it and review it for her. And I did, but I never did anything with that. So I thought, you know, I think I'm going to give the YouTube thing a try. So this was probably in April of 2022 that I started thinking about all of this. And in May, I talked to my husband about it. I'm like, I think I can do this. And I had people on Instagram actually asking me to make a YouTube channel for a long time. Like I said, I just didn't have the mental or physical space to do that, but now I did. So decided to do it in May, bought myself a vlogging camera. You guys have seen it. I've shown you my little Old Faithful that I started with under $1,000. I think it's around 700 or something. So it's definitely a little bit of an investment, but not as expensive as some of the cameras out there. So I bought this little vlogging camera, some basic stuff like a tripod, and just what I needed to get started. Went back, reviewed the course that I had taken, and made a plan. And I knew that I, set up my YouTube channel, and I thought I'll launch my channel in either June or July. And I knew the criteria for getting monetized on YouTube. I think it's like 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hours of watch time or something. It's not that much, at least I can say that now. But looking back, it kind of seemed like a lot, but it also seemed doable. You know, it was a tangible goal that I could see and work my way toward. So I typed out the dates for you guys. In, I think it was July of 2022, I published my first video. Now, my first videos were only like 10 minutes long. It was a struggle for me to get them to be 10 minutes long, and they're so awkward. They took me so long to film because I would like film a little bit and then go watch it and then like redo it, and it was so awkward. And then they would take me even longer to edit because I don't know, I was just new at all of this. I didn't know what I was doing. And honestly, to make one 10-minute video was like, I probably put like 16 hours into that, which is insane. But that's just how it is when you're starting something new. And to be totally honest, like every time I would make a video you know, in the first couple of months, I would feel like crying at the end. And I'm not a crier. I said feel like crying because I'm just really not a crier. But I would feel like it because I was so drained, because it was so exhausting. It was so much new information trying to figure out what to include, what to take out. It was just a lot, but I kept at it because that monetization goal just, it seemed very doable. And the first several videos I made, I did get a few hundred views on each. So I thought, well, that's pretty good. You know, people are watching. I would get a couple comments and people thought that they were helpful. So that was encouraging. So I stuck with it and I followed the YouTube course that I had taken. Everything that that course taught, I followed to a T. So I was really making sure I was trying to do this the right way. So 2 months after I published my first video, in September of 2022, my channel reached the criteria for monetization. Meaning, and what that means as far as like making money on YouTube is that you get paid like a few pennies or something, if that even. Maybe it's like a fraction of a cent. I don't even know the numbers, but you get paid a teeny tiny little bit when someone clicks over to your channel and there's an ad before your video or during your video or something. So I was so excited to have finally reached that goal. However, in my first month of being monetized, I made a whopping $2. $2. Now, I had read that that's probably what would happen because unless you go super viral and grow like really fast right away, just hitting that bare minimum qualification for monetization, you're not gonna make any money. And that's what happened to me. I had just barely crossed over the threshold and made $2. And my channel, so I kept making videos. My channel kept growing very slowly. And, you know, maybe the next month I made like $3 and then $2 again, and then like $5. And I'm not gonna lie, this was so discouraging to me that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break from all this. We were kind of like deep into our school year by this time. I'm like, I'm gonna take a break. Maybe I'll pick it back up in the summer. I'm just gonna focus on school because $2 a month just is not worth my time right now. So I definitely did not have like a long-term vision at that point. So anyway, I took a break. I stopped publishing videos. Several months went by and I really don't know if I would have ever picked it back up again, but I left my channel up. So my YouTube channel was still up. I just wasn't paying attention to it at all until I believe it was, I think I wrote this down here, April of 2023. So not quite a year after I had started. I had published several videos and left them up, you know, back when I had first gotten started. They were all monetized. I was making like, you know, a whopping $2 to $3 a month off of them. Then in April of 2023, I had a video go viral, and this video is still viral. It still gets tons of views. There are lots of times when this is still like the #1 video every month, and it is my homemade laundry soap video. Something that I didn't even know if people would care about because I've been making it for years. It's just really simple, but it went viral. And I really saw in that moment the potential with YouTube because I actually got a paycheck that was enough to cover my little camera that I had gotten. And I'm like, okay, I can make this thing pay for itself. And so the next month, in May of 2023, which was just earlier this year, we're still in December while I'm filming this. This was not that long ago. We were wrapping up our homeschool year and I'm like, you know what? I see the potential. I'm gonna dive back in. And for whatever reason, earlier this year, when I dove back in, maybe I just needed that break to kind of give myself some mental rest or perspective or a reset or whatever. But when I dove back in, things were so much easier. They just clicked a lot more this second time around. I did shift gears a little bit. So instead of making topical videos where I just did like an instructional, like a tutorial, how to do this or that one thing, I switched gears and did more lifestyle videos. And my videos went from being like 10 minutes long to being, you know, now they're anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes long. And it's kind of just like spending the day with me or spending the week with me, showing you different things around our home, around the homestead, different things that I do to add value to my home. And so by sharing that, my hope is that it is valuable to the viewer, and that's something that whoever is watching my videos can take and implement in their home as well, whether that is a recipe or just sharing homeschool curriculum, sharing thrifting tips and ideas, home decor on a budget, homesteading tips, experience, little bits of motherhood and life, all stuff like that. You all know, if you watch my channel, what kind of content I share. So it has been so much better this time around. And since I dove back in and have consistently posted one new video every week, I have gained at least 5,000 new subscribers every month and gotten to a place where I'm earning a steady monthly income from YouTube that covers my expenses, because there are some expenses. There are some tools that I use to do some research for my videos and stuff, so it covers all of that. And there's a little bit left over, which is motivating. It makes it worth it for me. Plus, I have gotten a lot better at what I do. So I do edit my own videos. I have tried hiring an editor in the past. She actually did a great job, but I found that the process of going the back and forth, like sending her the raw footage, she sends me the edit, I have to do my little, oh, can you change this, change that. By the time we went back and forth, I mean, that's like several hours of my time right there. I could have just had the video edited. So, you know, it used to take me 8 hours or something insane to edit a 10-minute video. Now I can have a podcast on and be editing and finish my whole editing process of like a half-an-hour video in an hour and a half. Then I go through, I do a voiceover in the parts that I didn't talk in, and I'm finished. So I've gotten a lot more efficient at that, and I'm getting quicker all the time. So I don't feel like crying anymore when I'm finished with the production process of a YouTube video. It's actually just really enjoyable. I've gotten into a good groove. You know, usually one day a week while the kids are napping, I'll pick that as my editing day. Well, the kids don't nap. The little one naps. The big kids, they're old enough to where they do have quiet time every day. So during their quiet time, I'll just sit down, edit my video, and I'm done. So today I'm filming this on December 27th. It is the end of the year. I'm reviewing numbers, kind of just going over everything from 2023 and looking into 2024. I honestly didn't have any goals this year. My goal was to make one video a week and stay consistent with that. I was able to hire someone to help me. So all of my shorts that you guys see, like the YouTube shorts or in reels that go on Instagram, I have someone that makes those for me. So I'm not doing all of that because I know my limits. That's one thing that this kind of back and forth and getting burnt out here and there has taught me. I've learned my limits. I've learned when it becomes not enjoyable for me. And I personally don't need this income to support my family or anything because my husband does that for us. So I don't have pressure. So that's kind of nice. And I also don't have to, I don't have pressure to take time away from my family. This isn't something that I have to sit up late at night working on or sacrifice time to do. This is something that I am able to take pockets of time that are my free time that I have created for myself. And this is what I do. I do other things too. I like to read. I like to do a lot of things, but you know, a few days a week, this is what I do in my pockets of created free time. And looking into 2024, it's going to stay that way. That's just my goal. And that is, I know my husband's vision for our family is not to have me sitting with my face in a computer all the time or putting this before anything else that we have going on in our family. So it's a really good arrangement for us. As of right now, my channel has somewhere around 83,000 subscribers. I would have never thought that it would have been that many, but that's what it is. So I don't know if I have a goal there. My goal is to continue creating content that is hopefully valuable and helpful for everyone who watches my channel. That's my goal. Now, I do have like analytics I can look at on here, and those show projections. So my channel is projected to keep growing. I'm not gonna set subscriber goals. We'll just kind of see where that goes. One thing that I have taken on or like added to this recently is I got my blog up and running again. And this time, unlike last time, it has just clicked. It's been so much easier, so much more enjoyable. And really, I think a lot of that goes back to me actually having the headspace for all of this now, as to, whereas before I just didn't. So for Hopewell Heights in 2024, my plan is just to continue putting out one video a week here on YouTube, to put out a couple new blog posts, whether probably mostly recipes, over on my blog every week. And that is about it. I'm not really comfortable sharing exact numbers as far as earning potential, but you guys can look that up. Just Google, like, what can you make on YouTube if you have so many views or so many subscribers, and you'll get a pretty accurate answer. As far as the blog, I'm really excited for that to be kind of like my next ambitious little project, because my blog is not monetized right now. I don't have any ads on my blog, and that is because I think most ads are very annoying. I don't like seeing like unrelated annoying ads when I go to look up a recipe or something, so I don't want to do that to people. So I'm waiting until I can qualify for a really good ad network that does focused, targeted ads that actually relate to the blog post, and it is pretty profitable. I'm just gonna wait until I can qualify for that. And I'm not there yet, because I just earlier this month in December actually started working on my blog again. But I'm about halfway to where I need to be, because over the years I had slowly put up content here and there. I am thinking I will probably do another video like this at the end of 2024. By that time I'll have another new little baby that'll be probably sitting here with me. And I will update you on the blog, on the YouTube channel, and any new developments related to that. Now, another little something that I am working on right now is I'm actually helping someone get started from scratch with a brand new brand and blog. And this has been really fun for me, because I've got to really think through everything that I've done and everywhere that I've went wrong. I've pretty much gotten this down to a science for me, to where when I do research, when I have an idea for a recipe or for whatever I want to make a video or a blog post on, and I go to do the research, I've gotten my system down. I have certain tools that I use, and some of them I do pay for, but they're so worth it because they just make everything so streamlined. And I know that if I use these tools and I put my end of the work in, that I'm going to have content that is going to perform well. So I am going to be sharing in the description of this video my favorite tools for YouTubing and blogging, as well as the courses that I took for setting up my blog and YouTube channel. And I would highly recommend these courses. These courses really do include everything that you need to set up a successful blog and YouTube channel. What it's really going to come down to is whether or not you are willing to follow the steps laid out in the courses and put the work in. Told you guys this hasn't been a perfectly linear journey for me, because I really just didn't have the mental headspace to put the work in when I started all of this, and I don't think I had the self-awareness to realize I didn't have the energy and capacity to put that work in. So I would really recommend, if this is something that anyone out there who's watching this, if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel or a blog, really pause and talk, especially if you're married, talk to your spouse and evaluate your situation right now, evaluate your life right now. Because if you are like burning it at both ends and barely holding it together as it is, it's probably not going to work out. It's probably not a good idea to take on something like this, because you really do need to be able to devote a set amount of time and be consistent with this. And when you're putting yourself out there, you're going to face some level of criticism and rejection at some point. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me, but I have pretty thick skin. But I can tell you guys, that is what stops a lot of people. If I had to pick, let's just pick like the top 3 things Top 3 reasons why, aspiring YouTubers and bloggers are unsuccessful. I would say number 1 is they are looking at it as a way to get rich quick. Kind of like, which no offense if you are into this, but like multi-level marketing, a lot of people get into these MLM businesses thinking they're gonna get rich quick. That's just not true. It takes work and time and effort. It is like starting any other business. You've got to make some upfront investments for quality equipment and to produce quality content. You've got to put the time in. And so I think the number 1 mistake people make is that thinking, I'm gonna go viral, hit it big, get rich quick. This is the way for me to make a lot of money. Maybe, quit my job, bring my husband home by doing very little work. That's not going to happen. So if that's kind of what you have in mind, this is not for you. The second thing that stops people would be unwillingness to develop their skills. So maybe just thinking, I'm just going to use my phone and record myself making muffins this morning. They're not really willing to learn any new skills as far as photography, videography, producing good content, editing content. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. I look back at the first videos I was producing and they're just awkward and uncomfortable. But I was trying, and I knew that. Like, I knew that I had work to do, and I still know. I still watch my videos, and I'm like, you know what? I bet they're gonna be so much better a year from now because I'm learning, just always trying to improve. So I see that a lot. People will put content out there, and the content is just not good. It's just not good. And the problem is they've been creating that level of content for like a year plus, and they're not willing to develop their skill set. You know what? We're gonna make this 4 reasons because now there is I just thought of number 3 before we get to number 4. Okay, number 3 reason would be that people start YouTube channels and blogs that are all about them. All right, the toddler is awake, so I need to wrap this up. Where were we? I had a list of 3 things, then I added 1, so then now there are 4 things that people do wrong when they start YouTubing and blogging. We're on thing number 3, which is creating a brand that is all about you. Now, that might sound really confusing. You're like, wait, don't I want this to be about me? Yes and no. Blogging and YouTubing are 2 different things. I'm not going to go into that on this video. If you really want more on that, take the courses, or maybe, if you guys like this kind of content, maybe here and there I can create like an extra video in the week that has to do with blogging and YouTubing. I'm not going to replace my normal videos, but I could do an extra video here or there. So drop a comment in the comment section if this is something you want to see more of, or if you have more specific questions for me, because this was just kind of me chatting, rambling on, giving you the basics. I didn't want to go into too much detail. But anyway, if you want to see more, let me know, and I can squeeze in short little 5-minute videos here and there answering your questions in addition to my main videos. But yeah, thing number 3 is, people just create content about them without providing value. The number 1 thing that you need to do, whether it's on YouTube or on a blog, is you need to provide value. So think about it like this. When's the last time that you went to look up a recipe for something for dinner and you really wanted to spend 10 minutes reading about that person's life or their day or anything about them at all? You just skip straight to the recipe, right? You're there for the content, for the value. So with blogging especially, you really need to pick a niche for your blog and provide value. There's so much strategy to it. I can't even go into it on this video. Like I said, I'm going to include in the description some of the tools that I use for blogging, that you really do need to take the course that I am going to recommend, and really put strategy behind it, because blogging is not about you. You're not going to be successful if you start a blog and just write about yourself or write personal stories. Now, YouTubing is a little bit different because you can definitely get away with creating a YouTube channel that does feature parts of your daily life, but still you've got to be adding value. You need to be either what are the three things? Like entertaining, inspiring, or educating in every single video. And I personally have my own thoughts about like entertainment YouTube channels, like family vloggers who basically are like selling their kids for content, or using their kids for content and stuff like that. I think that's exploitation. And I hope that eventually we see laws around that. I personally have no problem with seeing someone's kids in the background of a video or something. You guys see my kid. I'm holding one of my kids right now. But to make your child the actual content, I don't like that, so I'm not going to ever promote that. You need to have something of value to add, whether that's a skill that you have or insights that you have, a way that you can educate people. So that's mistake number 3, is people create content that's just not valuable. They're not adding value. They're putting their self out there. And I'm sure that you're a great, interesting person. I really believe in the sanctity of life. I believe every person has value and dignity and something to add, but that's not what this is about. This isn't about it like being a popularity contest. One of the bonuses is if you add value, you will make connections with people, you will make friends, and you do get to interact with people in a special way. That is a bonus, but you've got to add the value first. And then, okay, number 4, this is the last thing. And I really need to think about how I would rank these things. Maybe I'll put that in the description, like the top 4 mistakes people make when they want to be a blogger or a YouTuber. But number 4 is imposter syndrome. So that is really closely tied in with number 3. Making content that is all about you. So imposter syndrome is when you get down on yourself or you quit because you tie your success as a blogger or a YouTuber in with your value as a person. And if you don't see success right away, you think people don't like me, or like I'm not a valuable person or something, or I'm not qualified to do this. Now maybe you're not qualified, I don't know. You do kind of need to have some knowledge to be able to add value in the niche that you choose. But I see this all the time in like blogging groups that I'm in on Facebook, and just different conversations I've had with people who have tried blogging, YouTubing, whatever, and not been successful, is that feeling of being a failure or being a fraud. Like, oh, who am I to do this? Because you know, if they saw what my life looked like off camera, like no one would ever want to follow me. Well, common sense should tell all of us that like what you see on camera is a very small portion of someone's life, or at least it should be. It would be a very bad thing. And you see some of these family vloggers do this. They document like every little thing in their life. They're showing you all of their dirty laundry, like literally and figuratively. That is not good. I don't want everyone to know me on that level. That is a level that is reserved for like my immediate family and my mom and my sister. I mean, a very close, intimate circle of people that would know every intimate detail of my life like that. So go into that knowing that you're not obligated to share every little detail of your life. And of course, there are areas of your life that are imperfect and that you're flawed or you do things wrong, you have a bad day. Who cares? Who cares? Because if you're doing this for a business, you're doing it to provide value. Like, do you really think that your plumber goes to his plumbing job and is like, man, I just was really crabby as a dad last night, so now I'm not qualified to do this plumbing job? No, he's going there to provide value and do a job and use that skill. Okay, so that's what it is with like blogging, YouTube, stuff like that. I know it can kind of get a little tricky if you do talk about motherhood or homemaking and stuff, because odds are behind the scenes, you have moments where you blow it as a mother and a homemaker and a wife. And if you don't, you're probably lying to yourself, because we all have those moments where we're like, wow, that was a bad day. That was a really bad day for me. That's just normal. But I see it get to people. It like totally stops people in their tracks when they have a bad day in real life. They're like, now I'm not qualified to create content anymore. And that's just not true. Like I said, go back to step 1. You do need to make sure that your life is in order before you take on something like this. But if your life is just generally kind of in order, things are flowing pretty well, the foundation is solid, then you've got to know that you're just not going to be, you shouldn't be airing everything about yourself. You've got to have well-defined boundaries and limits on what you're going to share. That comes with picking a niche. And now I'm just rambling. So I'm going to cut this off and I will type out that short list, not a rambling list, short list of the 4 mistakes people make. I'll include all the tools that I use for blogging and YouTubing, the links to the courses that I took, and the equipment I used when I got started. I will always also share the equipment I use now, which is more expensive, but I waited until it could pay for itself. That's, you know, gotta be patient as far as that. Well, maybe you don't, maybe you have money to invest, which is wonderful. And that is where I will leave you today. Once again, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, if you have specific questions for me, please drop that in the comments. And if I do anything further on this topic, then it will be separate. So this is not something that is going to be replacing my usual videos. I just want to stress that so you guys don't think this is going to turn into like a entrepreneurial channel or something like that, because that's not the direction I'm going in. All right, well, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and I will see you next week. And I have such an exciting video for you that I should have made a long time ago. It is all about sourdough. I'll just tell you what it is. Because I have it going right now, I'm actually looking across the room into my kitchen and I see my sourdough starters. I am building several new sourdough starters with different kinds of flour, doing all different kinds of things to show you the whole process of making a starter, maintaining a starter, using different flours, which ones work best. I'm giving all my little tips in there every day as I kind of work with them and get them to be mature. So that's what next week's video is about. I'll see you next week. Thank you all for watching.